Run, Meros! Osamu Dazai. Melos was furious. He was determined that he must get rid of the evil, tyrannical, and vindictive king. Melos does not understand politics. He was a village herdsman. He has spent his life blowing his flute and playing with his sheep. But he was more sensitive to evil than most. Early this morning Meros left his village, crossed fields and mountains, and came to the city of Syrax, 10 miles away. He had no father, no mother, no wife. He had no wife. He lives alone with his shy 16-year-old sister. She was to be married in the near future to a pastor in the village, who was a very disciplined man. The wedding was coming soon. Melos, therefore, had come all the way to the market to buy the bride's gown and the feast. First, he gathered up the goods, and then wandered the city's main streets. Melos had a friend on stilts. He had a friend on stilts, Selinuntius. He was now a stonemason in the city of Syracuse. He was going to visit his friend now. I had not seen him for a long time, so I was looking forward to visiting him. As he walked along the street, Melos became suspicious about the state of the town. It was deserted. The sun had already set, and it was naturally dark, but it was not only because of the night. Even the carefree Meros began to feel uneasy. He grabbed a young man he met on the street and asked him what was wrong. The young people shook their heads and did not answer. After walking for a while, I met an old man and asked him a question, this time in a more forceful tone. The old man did not answer. Melos shook the old man's body with both hands and asked him more questions. The old man answered in a low, hushed voice, "The king kills people." "The king kills people. Why does he kill? You say he harbors evil thoughts, but no one has such evil thoughts." "Have you killed many people?" "Yes, first the king's son-in-law. Then his own heir. Then his sister. Then his sister's son. Then the empress. And then the wise vassal Alexis." I was astonished. "Is the king disturbed?" "No, he is not disturbed. No, he is not disturbed, but he is unable to trust people. He has recently begun to doubt the hearts of his subjects, and has ordered them to give up one hostage at a time to those who are living a little extravagantly. If they refuse his command, they will be crucified and killed. Today, 6 were killed." When Melos heard this, he was furious. He said, "What a mad king! I will not let him live." Melos was a simple man. With his shopping on his back, he strode swiftly into the royal castle. Immediately, he was captured by the patrolman. A dagger was found in Melos' pocket, which caused a great commotion. Melos was brought before the king. "What did you intend to do with this dagger? Speak." Dionys, the tyrant, inquired quietly but with dignity. The king's face was pale, and the furrows between his brows were as deep as if they had been carved. "Save the city from the tyrant's hand." Melos replied without offense. "You?" The king smiled pityingly. "You are a good-for-nothing," said the king, "but you have no choice. You have no idea how lonely I am." "Don't say that." Melos rebutted him. "It is the most shameful of vices to doubt the hearts of men. The king doubts even the loyalty of his people. You are the ones who taught me that doubt is the proper attitude. The heart of man is unreliable. Man is by nature a selfish creature. Do not trust them." The tyrant murmured calmly and sighed with relief. "I, too, want peace." "What do you want peace for? To protect my position?" Melos scoffed again. "What is peace when it kills innocents?" "Silence, you lowly wretch." The king quickly looked up and retorted. "With your mouth you can say the purest things. But I cannot see into the depths of a man's cotton guts. I don't want to hear you crying and apologizing after your crucifixion. Ah, the king is a good man. Oh, the king is a good man. I am prepared to die. I will not beg for my life. I will not beg for my life," he said, and then he looked down at his feet and hesitated for a moment. "I want my only sister to have a husband. In 3 days, I will have a wedding in the village, and I will come back here." "Nonsense." The tyrant laughed low, his voice hoarse and hoarse. "I'll have the wedding in the village on the 3rd day, and I'll come back here." "The little bird you let go will come back?" "Yes," said the tyrant. "Yes, he will return." Melos insisted desperately. "I will keep my promise. Please forgive me for 3 days. My sister is waiting for my return. If you don't believe me so much, then good, there is a stonemason in this city named Selinuntius. He is my one and only friend. Let us leave him here as a hostage. If I escape and do not return here until nightfall of the 3rd day, strangle that friend. Please, do so." Hearing this, the king chuckled softly with cruelty. "You talk nonsense. Of course he's not coming back. It would be fun to pretend to be deceived by this liar and let him go. It would also be a good idea to kill the substitute man on the 3rd day. I will crucify the scapegoat with a sad face, saying, 'This is why people can't be trusted.' I would like to show the world's honest people and their spies that they are not so bad. I hear your wish. You may call the ransom man. On the 3rd day, come back before sunset. If you fail to do so, I will kill your scapegoat. Come a little late. Your sins will be forgiven forever." "What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Ha ha ha. If you value your life, come to me. I know your heart." Melos was so sorry that he got down on his hands and knees. He did not want to say anything. His friend on horseback, Selinuntius, was summoned to the royal castle at midnight. In the presence of the tyrant Dionys, the good friend and the good friend met for the first time in 2 years. Melos told his friend the whole story. Selinuntius nodded his head in agreement and embraced Melos. Between friend and friend, it was all right. Selinuntius was lassoed. Melos departed immediately. It was early summer and the sky was full of stars. The sun was already high in the morning of the next day, and the villagers were out in the fields, beginning their work. The sun was already high in the sky, and the villagers were already out in the fields, starting their work. She was surprised to see her brother staggering toward her, exhausted and exhausted. She then noisily questioned her brother. "Nothing." Melos tried to force a smile. "I've left something to do in the city. I have to go back to the city soon. Tomorrow is your wedding day. The sooner the better." Her sister's cheeks flushed. "I'm glad, aren't you?" I bought you beautiful, beautiful clothes. Now go and tell the villagers that the wedding is tomorrow. The wedding is tomorrow." Melos staggered home again, decorated the altar of the gods, set the table for the feast, and soon collapsed on the floor, falling into a deep sleep so deep that he could hardly breathe. It was night when he awoke. As soon as he woke up, Melos visited the bridegroom's house. He asked the bridegroom to postpone the wedding to tomorrow because of a few circumstances. The groom's herdsman was surprised and replied that it was not possible, that he had not yet made any arrangements, and that they should wait until the grape season. Melos pressed him further, saying that he could not wait, but that he would have to wait until tomorrow. His son-in-law, a pastor, was also stubborn. He would not give his consent. They continued to argue until dawn, and finally managed to calm, coax, and persuade the groom. The wedding ceremony took place at midday. After the bride and groom had sworn their vows to the gods, black clouds covered the sky and it began to rain, drizzling rain, until it became so heavy that it seemed to wash away the axle. The villagers who were present at the feast felt something ominous, but they still kept their spirits up, braved the sweltering heat in their cramped houses, and sang songs and clapped their hands merrily. Melos, too, was so full of joy that, for a while, he even forgot his promise to the king. The feast became more and more festive as the night went on, and the people paid no attention to the heavy rain outside. Melos thought, "I want to stay here for the rest of my life." He wished to live with these fine people for the rest of his life, but now it was his body and not his own. It was not to be. Melos, beating himself up, finally made up his mind to leave. There was still 10 minutes before sunset tomorrow. He decided to take a short nap and then leave immediately. By that time, the rain would have stopped. "I wanted to stay in this house as long as possible." Even a man as big as Melos has feelings of regret. He approached his bride, who seemed to be drunk with joy tonight, and said to her, "Congratulations," he said. "I'm tired, so I'm going to take my leave and go to sleep. As soon as I wake up, I'm going to the market. I have important things to do. You will never be lonely without me, because you already have a kind husband. The thing your brother hates the most is to doubt people and to lie. You know that, don't you? Do not keep any secrets from your husband. That's all I'm saying to you. Your brother is probably a great man, and you should be proud of him." The bride nodded her head dreamily. Melos then patted the groom on the shoulder. "We are both unprepared," he said. "In my house, the only treasures I have are my sister and a sheep. I have nothing else. I will give you everything. One more thing. Be proud that you are now the brother of Melos." The bridegroom rubbed his hands together and was embarrassed. Melos laughed and bade the villagers goodbye, then left the banquet hall, retired to his sheepfold, and fell deeply asleep as if he had died. It was around twilight the next day when he woke up. He wondered if he had overslept. No, it is still all right. If we leave right away, we will make it in time for the appointed time. Today, by all means, let's show that king that we have faith. Then I will go up to the crucifixion with a smile on my face. Melos began to get ready with ease. The rain seemed to be easing somewhat. He was ready. With a great swing of his arms, Melos ran like an arrow through the rain. "I will be killed tonight. I am running to be killed. I am running to save my ransom friend. I must run to defeat the king's wickedness and treachery. I must run. Then I will be killed. Protect your honor from your youth. Farewell, home." Young Melos had a hard time. Several times he almost stopped. He ran, shouting and scolding himself. He left the village, crossed fields, passed through forests, and arrived at the next village, where the rain had stopped. The sun was high in the sky, and it was getting hot. Melos brushed the sweat from his forehead with his fist. His sisters would make a good couple. I should have no worries now. As long as I can make it straight to the royal castle, that's all I need to worry about. There is no need to rush. I regained my usual carefree and easygoing mood and began to sing my favorite ditty in a nice voice. He strolled for 2 or 3 miles, and when he had almost reached the halfway point of his journey, a sudden calamity stopped him in his tracks. Behold the river ahead. The mountain water sources had been inundated by yesterday's torrential rains, and the muddy waters were gathering downstream in torrents, destroying bridges in one fell swoop, and the roaring torrent was bouncing off the bridge girders in a cloud of dust. He stood still, stunned. He looked around and called out as loudly as he could, but all the tethered boats were drowned by the waves, and there was no sign of the ferryman. The current had swollen to the point of becoming like an ocean. Melos cowered on the riverbank, weeping bitterly and lifting up his hands to Zeus in supplication. "Oh, quench, quench the raging stream. Time is ticking away. The sun is already at midday. If I cannot reach the castle before it sinks, my good friend will die for me." The muddy waters, as if laughing at the cries of Meros, leapt up and down. The waves swallowed it, rolled it up, stirred it up, and time was fading away with each passing moment. Now even Meros was prepared. There is nothing else to do but to swim through. Oh, may the gods be glorified! I will show you now the great power of love and sincerity that cannot be defeated by the muddy waters. Melos plunged into the current and began a desperate struggle against the raging waves, which thrashed about like 100 serpents. With all his strength in his arms, he scrambled and scrambled through the swirling and trailing currents, and the gods must have felt pity for the sight of this blindly struggling son of man, for they finally took pity on him. Although swept away, he was able to cling to the trunk of a tree on the other side of the river. Thank goodness. Melos shuddered like a horse and hurried on. Even a single moment could not be wasted. The sun was already setting in the west. He breathed heavily as he climbed the pass, and just when he was relieved to be done, a bandit jumped out in front of him. "Wait! What are you doing? I must get to the royal castle before the sun sets. Let me go." "No, I will not let you go. Leave everything you have. I have nothing but my life. I will give that one life to the king. I want that life. So you have been waiting for me here by order of the king." Without a word, the bandits raised their clubs in unison. Melos bent down, swooped down on one of them like a flying bird, snatched the cudgel from his grasp, and said, I'm sorry, but it's justice. I'm sorry, but it's for justice." He struck 3 of them down with one furious blow, and immediately beat them to a pulp. He ran down the pass at once, but he was exhausted, and the scorching afternoon sun shone down on him so brightly that Meros felt dizzy many times. He could not get up. He looked up to the heavens and cried out in frustration. "Ah, ah!" Meros, who swam through the muddy stream, shot down 3 bandits, and broke through to this point, Vakatan Idaton. "O true hero, O Meros! It is shameful that you are so exhausted that you cannot move here and now. Your beloved friend must soon be killed for believing in you. You are a man of rare unbelief. Just what the king wants." I scolded myself, but my whole body was shriveled up and I could no longer make as much headway as a caterpillar. I lay down on the grass by the roadside. Physical exhaustion is a disease of the mind as well. The unfaithful and indolent spirit, unbecoming of a brave man, that said, "I don't care anymore," nestled in the corner of my heart. I had worked so hard. I had not the slightest intention of breaking my promise. God was watching, and I had worked as hard as I could. I ran until I could not move. I am not a disbeliever. Oh, if I could, I would cut open my chest and show you my crimson heart. I would like to show you this heart that is beating only with the blood of love and faith. But at this critical moment, I have run out of energy and roots. I am an unfortunate man. I will be laughed at. My family will be laughed at. I have deceived and mocked my friends. To collapse in the middle is the same as doing nothing in the first place. Oh, I don't care anymore. This may be my predestined fate. Forgive me, Selinuntius. You have always believed in me. I did not deceive you. We have been truly good friends. Not once did we carry a dark cloud of suspicion in our hearts. Even now, I know that you are waiting for me with all your heart. Yes, I am waiting for you. Thank you, Selinuntius. How could you have trusted me? I can't help thinking about it. Trust between friends is the greatest treasure in the world. I ran, Selinuntius. I did not intend to deceive you in the slightest. Believe me. I came here in a hurry. I broke through the muddy waters. I had slipped through the bandits' encirclement, and I had come down the pass in a single bound. Because it was me, I was able to do it. Oh, don't wish for anything more from me. Leave me alone. It doesn't matter. I have lost. I'm sloppy. Smile. The king gave me an earful, telling me to come back a little later. He promised that if I was late, he would kill a ransom and spare me. I hated the king's meanness. But now I see that I am doing the king's bidding. I will go behind. The king would laugh at me in agreement, and then let me go without a fight. If that happens, I will be worse than dead. I am a traitor forever. I am the most dishonorable race on earth. I will die, Selinuntius. Let me die with you. Only you must believe me. Or am I alone in that, too? Oh, let me live out my days as a scoundrel. I have a house in the village. I have sheep. My sister and her husband would never drive me out of the village. Justice, faith, and love are all nonsense when you think about it. Killing people so that I can live. Isn't that the law of the human world? Oh, Everything is absurd. I am an ugly traitor. Do with me what you will. I'll do as I please. I threw out my limbs and dozed off in a doze. Suddenly, I heard the sound of flowing water. I gently leaned my head back and listened with bated breath. I heard water flowing right under my feet. I stumbled up to look and saw that a stream of fresh water was gushing out from a crack in the rock, flowing profusely and whispering softly. Melos stooped down as if he were being sucked into the spring. He scooped up the water with both hands and took a sip. He let out a long sigh and felt as if he had awakened from a dream. I can walk. Let's go. As his body recovered from the fatigue, he felt a slight sense of hope. Hope for the fulfillment of his duty. Hope that I would kill myself to preserve my honor. The setting sun casts its red light on the leaves of the trees, making them and their branches glow with a fiery glow. There is still time before sunset. There is someone waiting for me. There is someone waiting for me, quietly expecting me, without the slightest doubt. They believe in me. My life is not the issue. I cannot say I am sorry for dying. I must repay their trust. That is all that matters now. Run, Melos. I am trusted. I am trusted. That whisper the other day, that demon whisper, it was a dream. A bad dream. Forget it. When your insides are tired, you have bad dreams like that. Melos, I am not ashamed of you. After all, you are a true hero. You are able to stand and run again. Thank God. I can die a righteous man. Ah, the sun is setting. It's going down fast. Wait a minute, Zeus. I was born an honest man. Let me die an honest man. Pushing and leaping over the passers-by, Melos ran like a black wind. He ran through the fields, through the midst of the revelers, astonishing them, kicking off dogs, jumping over streams, and running 10 times faster than the sun that was setting little by little. As he passed a group of travelers, he overheard an ominous conversation. By now, that man should have been crucified. Oh, that man for whom I am running so fast. I must not let him die. Hurry, Melos. Do not lag behind. Now is the time to show the power of love and sincerity. I don't care what he looks like. Melos was now almost completely naked. Unable to breathe, blood gushed from his mouth 2 or 3 times. I can see him. In the far distance, the small tower of the city of Syrax could be seen. The tower glistened in the setting sun. Ah, Master Meros! A moaning voice was heard with the wind. Who is it? Melos asked as he ran. I am Philostratos, your friend Selinuntius. I am the apprentice of your friend Syrax. The young stonecutter shouted as he ran after him. No more. It's no use. Stop running. You cannot help them now. No, the sun has not set yet. He is about to be put to death. Oh, you are too late. I am sorry. If only it had been a little bit sooner. No, the sun has not set yet. Melos stared at the big, red sunset, his heart aching. He had no choice but to run. No, please don't. Please don't run. Your life is more important now. He believed in you. He did not care if he was taken to jail. Even when the king made fun of him, he only said, Meros will come, and he seemed to maintain his strong faith. That is why he runs. That is why we run. We run because we are believed in. It doesn't matter if we make it in time or not. It doesn't matter if we make it in time or not, it doesn't matter if people die. I am running for something much bigger, much scarier. Follow me. Philostratos. Oh, you've lost your mind. Oh, you've lost your mind. Oh, you've lost your mind. Run along. That's all I have to say. The sun had not yet set. With his last dying breath, Melos ran. His head was empty. He was not thinking about anything. He just ran, pulled by a great, incomprehensible force. The sun was about to sink into the horizon, and the last shred of light was about to disappear, when he rushed like a gale into the place of execution. Just in time. Wait. Do not kill him. Melos returned. He has returned, as he promised. But his voice was hoarse because his throat had collapsed, and not a single person in the crowd noticed his arrival. The crucifixion pillars had already been erected high above the crowd, and Syrax, who was already on the ropes, was slowly being hoisted up. Melos, witnessing this, is the last brave soul to wade through the crowd as if he had just waded through a muddy stream. It is I, the executioner. It is I who will be killed. It is Meros. I am the one who took him hostage. He finally climbed up to the crucifixion stand and bit down on his friend's legs as he was being fished out. The crowd roared. My God, they said, forgive me. Forgive me, they chanted. The rope of Selinuntius had been untied. Selinuntius. Melos said with tears in his eyes. Strike me. Strike me on the cheek with all your might. I had a bad dream once on the way. If you don't hit me, I don't deserve to be in your embrace. Hit me. Selinuntius nodded his head in approval, seeming to understand everything, and punched Melos on the right cheek so loudly that it rang through the whole prison. After striking him, he smiled and chuckled softly. Melos, strike me. Hit me, Melos, and hit me on the cheek just as loudly. Only once in the past 3 days have I had a glimpse of doubt about you. For the first time in my life, I doubted you. If you don't hit me, I won't be able to embrace you. Melos growled into his arm and struck Selinuntius on the cheek. Thank you, my friend. They both said it at the same time, hugged each other tightly, and then cried, their voices mingling with joyful sobs. The weeping could be heard in the crowd. The tyrant Dionysus, who was staring at them from behind the crowd, approached them quietly, his face flushed, and said, You have what you want. Your wish has been granted. You have won my heart. Faith was never an empty delusion. Please let me be one of you. Please do me this favor and make me one of you. The crowd cheered. Long live the king. A young girl offered her cloak of scarlet to Melos. Melos was flustered. His good friend took the liberty of telling him, Melos, you're all out of your mind. Put on the cloak quickly. This lovely girl can't wait for everyone to see her naked body. The brave man blushed. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for the next installment.